Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pac-12 conference preview video here on the Transfer Portal CFB. My name is Dylan Ruben King. I am joined by Gracie. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. It finally feels like football season. As of recording, it's I think 46 days until week 0 starts. And as of the time that this goes out, it'll be even sooner. How about that? That's how schedules work. But I'm super excited. Like Pac-12 has always been my favorite conference. It's always been the most intriguing. And so, to be able to talk about just the mess that this conference is just gets me going. So I'm ready to get rolling. But first, we talked about a little bit of the mess. And I think this offseason just epitomizes the word mess with the Pac-12. So many new head coaches, the transfer portal went mad with the Pac-12. It just feels like a brand new conference. And of course, in a couple of years, it will be a new conference, but we won't get into that. You've already heard us talk about that ad nauseum. But I'm just curious, Grace, your idea of the new head coaches. You got Oregon with Dan Lanning, Lincoln Riley at USC, Kalen DeBoer at UW, Jake Dickert at Wazoo. Which move do you think made like the biggest, shook the ground in the Pac-12? Like, which one do you think will change, the impact of the Pac-12 the most this season?
While I am very partial and would like to say Dan, because I love Dan the man, love him. I would probably have to say objectively Dickert at Washington State. I just think that he's already made a couple great choices, bringing in the incarnate word coach, Eric Morris, for offensive coordinator, especially bringing in Cameron Ward as well. I think that they're going to be an excellent dynamic duo, and the Cougars might actually not do what they usually do and choke. So
that's a really good answer. Because I think that was of the ones that are new head coaches. He's already kind of proven his case. He's an interim last year after Nick Rolovich got fired, and he earned that job by actually working with the program and the guys. And like you said, it's going to be a pretty new offense with the offensive coordinator and Cameron Ward. They lose a good chunk of their offensive line, but still, Cameron Ward put up just crazy numbers, incarnate Word, and I really hope that he can keep that going at Wazoo. That should be a lot of fun. For me, I inclined as well to say Dan Lanning because I've gotten the up close look. I got to cover a couple of spring practices, got to see him, hands on with some of the players and the other coaches, and this coaching staff just feels complete to me. So I think head to toe, I'd go the coaching staff is probably Oregon. I think that one will be the biggest difference. But head coach alone, I think it's hard to argue against Lincoln Riley. Just the success, the comparative success that he had at Oklahoma. Obviously, they didn't win a championship or win a playoff game, but going to the playoff so often, winning the Big 12 so often, just dominating that conference. There's really high expectations once again in Southern California for him to carry over. Having Caleb Williams helps, having Mario Williams helps, getting half the transfer portal, that helps. So, the expectations are super high, but, USC and Oregon, those two programs are going to be really fun to watch in the future. And speaking of the transfer portal and Caleb Williams, there's a lot of new quarterbacks in the Pac-12, and it seems like that's a pretty standard thing now the last couple of years. So let me ask you the same question, but with quarterbacks. Which starting quarterback do you think will, perform the best with their new team?
Again, I'm really excited for Cameron Ward. As much as I hate the Cougars, I'm rooting for him truly. And then, you said it with Caleb Williams. I call Lincoln Riley stinking Lincoln Riley because I just feel like we hear his name so much, and the expectations for him and for Caleb Williams are incredibly high. And then, I can't not mention Bo Nix. I'm a hard Ty Thompson stan. And so my hopes are mainly with him, but Bo Nix is definitely I'm curious. I'm really curious to see what he's going to do because I felt that at Auburn he was not the most impressive, but he's still great, still quality. All in all, I would still go with Cameron Ward. I his stats were absolutely amazing. He had over 4,500 passing yards just in the 2021 season alone, and I know that the strength of schedule might not be up there, but I think he looks really, really great and very entertaining.
He fits the Washington State brand. And I know it's a little bit of a different offense. They should have a more balanced offense. I would think Max Borghi's gone, but I think there's probably room for this offense to be a little more balanced. But even if they go full air raid again, full Mike Leach again, I mean, like you said, Cameron Ward can absolutely sling it. So that's going to be super fun. Mentioning Bo Nix, though, like that's one I don't think a lot of people are talking about as like kind of a game changer because it seems like Oregon the last couple of years has just been recycling these quarterbacks since Justin Herbert left. He had Tyler Shuck for a year, Anthony Brown for a little bit at 2020, and then the whole year in 2021. Safe to say he didn't meet expectations. I mean, they won 10 games, but like I wouldn't say because of Anthony Brown necessarily. But I mean, with this new offense, it feels like this is the time for Bo Nix to shine. And dare I say, this is the year Bo Nix has improved, da da da. He's having fun, he's focused, whatever it might be. I'm not going to go into all of that. Bo Nix knows it. I'm sure all the Oregon fans out there are cringing. Auburn fans are cringing, whatever. But Bo Nix, like this offense is more suited for him, not just the scheme, but the personnel. And I honestly think that this will be his best year by a country mile. I think we could see him put up really good numbers that maybe have NFL scouts turning their heads back around. They were kind of looking his freshman year, and then last couple of years battled injuries and coaching changes and stuff like that. But maybe this is the year for Bo Nix. Who
I
knows?
mean, would you almost say it's the year of the former Tiger? I mean, it's pretty close. It's possible.
I don't know. My expectations are high, and especially after watching him in spring. He does look focused. No pun intended with the popular meme, but he does look focused. He looks bigger too. I will say that he looks bigger. He looks healthy. He looks like he's getting along with not just the other quarterbacks, but the coaching staff and the new teammates all around. It just seems like he fits in a little bit better. But don't sleep on Jay Butterfield. I will say that Jay Butterfield was absolutely killing it in spring. And if I had to put my money in anybody to beat out Bo Nix, I'd put it on Jay. So that's just me. We'll get into that a little bit as we get into the teams. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about that I didn't realize until last minute was we're going to have a new conference championship game format for the Pac-12. And you wrote about it when the news came out. Starting this season, we're going to have the two teams with the highest conference winning percentage instead of the two division winners. So since you wrote your reaction about it, I'm just curious, now that time has passed, how do you feel about that right now?
Uh, it's like my least favorite C word, conference. Um, I at the end of the day, I still think that it might just be Oregon and Utah, which is still north south. But I like it. I think it's good. It should be the two best teams. Like it should be the two best contenders. Um, I am still a little bit worried. My feelings are pretty much the same as when I wrote that article because I'm a chronic overthinker and I just worry about everything. So part of me just imagines like Oregon getting like forced out of the picture, and it makes me sad. But overall, I think it's a better move, and I am hopeful that it will come out in a way that I like.
For sure. I mean, I will say I do think the result could probably be still North versus South, but if I remember right, the results from since the Pac-12 championship has been a thing, I think it would have been different 5 out of the 11 years, if I'm not mistaken. So there definitely is a difference, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Oregon against somebody, in my opinion. If it was still the North versus South, easily, I think it'd still be Oregon versus somebody. I wouldn't sleep on Washington State, but I think it's safely Oregon's North division to lose. the South is going to be a ton of fun, but it's not going to be, it's not going to be a difference between, oh, we have to watch the South versus South teams. It doesn't really matter as much. Like the Utah Oregon game is going to be just as important as USC versus Utah. And I think that's a big impact that I like. But at the same time, like the end result might not be different. I agree with that point. Going towards specific players, we talked about some of the top transfer portal quarterbacks. I'm thinking overall breakout players. And I know we're both partial to Oregon guys. I've got an Oregon guy, but I want to start with you. Who are a couple breakout players that you're looking at for this season?
Yes, as usual, I am trying not to pull so hard for my own team, but it is difficult. In that vein, my first thought was Seven McGee for the Ducks. I really liked the energy that I was seeing from him in this past season. I know his stats are not amazing, but I don't feel that they're reflective of the true, athletic prowess and form that he has. I think that we're going to see great things from him and Byron Cardwell as well. But, again, I'm a homer. Other than that, I say this with all of the hatred in my heart. Clark Phillips, the cornerback from Utah, while he made me very, very mad, he's very talented and he looks really good. I feel like he's going to continue just being an absolute beast. And I am not looking forward to Oregon coming up against Utah again. I'm already I feel like I have PTSD from last year, but he's great. And, removing his, the school that he goes to from judging. Yeah, he's awesome. And he's going to continue to be awesome. I feel like he really hit his stride about mid-season, and he's definitely going to have an interception against the Ducks. I just feel it in my bones.
Thinking about those Utah games just makes the Captain Morgan run through my veins again, unfortunately. But yeah, those were not fun games. But Clark Phillips is a dog. I will say that. That man is an absolute playmaker in the backfield. Utah lost a good amount of guys up front on the defense, but he's going to carry the load in the secondary. But I am so happy you said Seven McGee, because I have been all over the Seven McGee hype train since really committed, which feels like 10 years ago at this point. Like that man committed during the Obama administration, I swear. But I remember saying during a podcast with Ducks Digest before the Pac-12 championship game, that we won't talk about the result, but I remember saying every Pac-12 championship game, Oregon brings out a secret weapon. Like 2020, 19, time is a social construct with COVID. But anyway, 2019, they unleashed Justin Herbert running all over Utah. And then 2020, it was Anthony Brown. Like, oh my God, we have Anthony Brown. And he actually did well. Who'd have thunk? And then I was thinking this year it'd be Seven McGee, because they hid him the whole time, and he is a secret weapon that will just destroy defenses. And with this offense, I asked him during spring, do you think this is more fit for you? And he said, this is a Chip Kelly offense. This is like the offense that I grew up watching. And that's all I needed to hear as a Ducks fan right there. So Seven McGee is such a great choice. I wish I would have thought of that, but I'm glad you brought that up, because you made a great point.
Yeah, my first thought, number one. I mean, he's number 7, but number one in my heart.
The fact he's wearing number 7 is just so divine. It's gonna be so awesome to see. I wish the back of his jersey could say 7 though. That would be super cool, but NCAA don't like that. NCAA isn't that fun. But nonetheless, Seven McGee is going to be an absolute beast. I will go with an Oregon player as well. And I wrote about him today. When this comes out, it'll be about a week out. But I wrote about Brandon Dorlus today. And I don't think Brandon Dorlus is getting the hype nationally that he deserves. I think the Pac-12 circle kind of understands what he's about, but I think nationally, he's so slept on. I like that I'm starting to see him on some preseason teams, which is super dope. I think he should be higher than 4th team, 3rd team. There are a lot of really good defensive linemen out there, but given this defensive scheme, given that Kayvon is gone. I think this is an open door for Brandon Dorlus to go nuts. Since 2020, which is when I think he started jumping into the starting lineup, getting more reps. He leads all Pac-12 defensive tackles in pressures, quarterback hits, hurries, and pass rush win rate. I know like the sacks, tackles for loss, that's what everybody looks at and makes their judgments based on. But I mean, you can't fault a guy for not getting sacks and tackles for loss, but he's getting after the quarterback, he's getting into the backfield and making just life hell for offensive coordinators. And I think you'll start to see some of those numbers go up, but the man is just a beast. And I think he slimmed down from what I saw. He was coming in at like, I think 285 last season. And I think he's more in like the 270, 275 range, and he looks fast. So I'm excited to see Brandon Dorlus. And then my other pick was Brendan Rice. I've been all over Brendan Rice, even when he was at Colorado, just suffering in that terrible, god-awful offense. But now he's at USC. He's got playmakers galore. He's got Lincoln Riley. You put the ball in Brendan Rice's hands, whether it be on jet sweeps, throwing it 40 yards down the field as a returner, the man is going to just tear the field up, especially as a returner. Like the guy averaged, I think, 30 yards per return in his career. And his only punt return in his career was an 81-yard touchdown. So I think they need to start putting him back there for punts too. But Brendan Rice, I know they brought in just everybody and anybody from the Pac-12 that was, that had the football in their hands at any certain point. But Brendan Rice is super underrated, and I hate that he suffered with Colorado for so long. But if anybody doesn't know who Brendan Rice is, he's Jerry Rice's son. If that's good enough reason to believe in his talent, I don't know what else is.
Yeah, no, I mean, Dorless, I definitely agree. And then Rice, I mean, coming from Colorado, he'll be fine at USC. He won't be suffering anymore. I can all but guarantee you.
I just love that their offense coming into the Oregon game in Eugene was the worst in the FBS, if I'm not mistaken. It was definitely like bottom 3, but I think it was the worst. And then they put up like 28, 29 points or something like that. And Brendan Rice just went nuts. And that's all I needed to jump on his hype train, because man, he just looked like he could excel in any offense. And now he's with USC. Man, he could put up like 25 yards a catch. I would put money on him putting up 25 yards a catch. That might be a little bit of a hot take.
I mean, go ahead. You can bet on anything now. Just, go ahead, do it.
I am going to Vegas next month, so maybe that's on the list. All right.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that probably won't be the first thing I bet on. I mean, Justin Herbert winning MVP might be one I jump on board with you.
I do it every year. Year. It's my favorite.
You're bound to cash in. You're bound to cash in at some point. I promise you will.
$10 each time because he's number 10.
Oh.
I don't think I should say this on the internet. I don't know. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
You got to show love for your boy. You got to show confidence for your boy.
Yeah. I wish when I ran into him in Whole Foods, I really should have like, hey, I bet on you every year. Not to be weird.
Man, the story that would have been told if you would have gone up to him in a Whole Foods, just that's prime podcast material.
He was with his mom. It just was weird. I didn't want to disturb him with his mom. We made eye contact. It was awkward. I was wearing like a monochromatic outfit, and I was just like, this is a little creepy. It's like all blue. Like this wasn't on purpose. And the only thing I could think of in my head was like, I love you. And that's just a really weird thing to yell at a stranger in public, even if you do love them. And they are amazing. They are Justin Herbert.
Yeah, you just made the point I was going to make. It's Justin Herbert. Hell, I would yell "I love you" to Justin Herbert in a Whole Foods.
Yeah. I just, gosh, sometimes I feel like my sports idol fandoms aren't as cute as they were when I was a child, because now I'm a grown adult. And when I was like a little kid being like, I love you, LeGarrette Blount, like, it's like adorable. My
Yeah.
dad buys me a jersey that barely fits because it's dragging on the floor. But now it's like, we're the same age. We're the same age. So
Oh
it's
man,
really-
that's hilarious. But anywho, not to not to go on the Jay Herbo tangent for too long, but I'm really curious about we prefaced it a little bit, but the top in conference games, because now every game matters. It's not, North versus North, South versus South that matters the most, but it's anybody versus anybody that'll matter in the standing. So I'm curious, what are three games that you're looking forward to that you're going to circle on your schedule in the Pac-12 this year?
Oregon versus Utah, circled in red with little devil face emojis all over it. Um, USC UCLA. Yeah, not to talk, I don't want to get into, C word realignment, but I want to see what they look like, new and improved. Sorry, I shouldn't have put that in quotes, up against one another. And then honestly, the Apple Cup, I'm excited, I'm looking forward to the Apple Cup this year. I think that UW has not looked amazing as of late, and neither has Washington State. But I don't want to say Cameron Ward again, but I'm really curious because I think that they've made a decent amount of off-season improvements, and I'm excited to see what happens between them.
The Apple Cup is a good one because last season brought one of my favorite moments, if not the best moment in the Pac-12, with Washington State getting the win in Seattle and putting the flag at midfield. Like, me as an Oregon fan, that was just bliss. Like, that was one of my favorite things I'd ever seen as a Pac-12 connoisseur. But I will say, if UW gets the win in Pullman, they have the right to do the same thing. I mean, as much as I would hate to see it, they have the right to do it as revenge. They totally do. But
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued to see that game. But I'm pretty curious that you didn't put Washington at Oregon in Eugene for the first time in 4 years. That was something I was waiting for.
No, I mean, I'll be there.
Oh, I
Um,
know.
oh yeah, you kidding? Satan could not stop me. Nothing will stop me from going to that game. But now sometimes I just get some scary flashbacks of UW at Oregon. So
Yeah.
on the reserved and very superstitious side, I didn't put it on there.
Okay.
But I feel it. I feel it.
However, I mean, if you want to talk about flashbacks, the last time they did play in Eugene was when CJ Riddell scored the game-winning touchdown in overtime, and you had the sad Jake Browning on the sideline. So if you want to think about that, the happy thoughts thing, there you go.
Yeah. Oh gosh, stuff like that. I mean, seriously, like one of my favorite sports college football moments ever is definitely like I was in Arizona at the Oregon at Arizona State game, and in triple overtime, Arian Springs catches an interception on the 2-point conversion attempt. And in triple overtime, I'm in the desert. I'm not in, like, that's not a Ducks friendly environment. And I was just like bawling. Like, it was just like, moments like that make me like, they renew my love and faith in college football in general.
Man, that game just brought back a deep memory because I think like early high school, maybe late middle school. That was 2015, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that was post Mariota. That was Vernon Adams. So yeah,
Yeah.
2015. So yeah, I was in high school and my parents were pissed because that game was going so late.
Yeah.
And like, dude, you got to go to bed. I'm like, no, I cannot sleep because that game started at like 7:30 or whatever, and it just went
12
till
after dark, baby.
absolutely. That's what I live for. And speaking of Pac-12 after dark, this was a game that you mentioned that I had on my list. USC at Utah. I think that's going to be the true test for USC and Lincoln Riley to see what they're about. I mean, that's the cream of the crop in Utah. They were in the Rose Bowl. They won the Pac-12. That's the ultimate test. And if USC can go into Salt Lake City and win, where I think Oregon State was really the only one that won in Salt Lake City, if I'm not mistaken. Then that'll probably prove a lot of doubters wrong and prove a lot of these people that are saying USC to the playoff that they're just gonna shit themselves because of a win like that. But I'm excited to see that. That should be prime time. That should be college game day. I don't know what other games are that week, but I'm sold already. That's top game for me.
That would be amazing. And it would be kind of satisfying. I mean, especially if you're just sitting in your little Pac-12 house, and then you've got the meanies and the Big Ten house, and like you're not good enough to get in. And it's like, be really cool if like Oregon, Washington, Utah just smacked USC and UCLA respectively. That'd be really cool.
I think it would be funny just because of all the hype around USC, because USC is like, they're kind of like the Lakers and the Knicks. Like they're always going to have the hype. Like whether or not they're actually going to live up to that is another thing, but they always have hype. That's just the name of the game. That's their program.
I
And
know.
the fact that like they have the most talent they've had in, I don't know, 10 plus years, maybe since the Matt Barkley days. Like it just, I would love to see their fall. Not because I have really anything against USC, but just because it's awesome to see just the mighty fall. That's how I feel. Even though they're already like trash last year, they're not really falling, but you get the picture.
I know. I mean, part of me almost feels like, I mean, I'm definitely more on the side of, just keep it cool, like what matters is what happens on the field. But they've been talking mad shit. It's everywhere. I can smell it from here. It is gross. And I would love nothing more than to see stinking Lincoln just cry a little bit, just a little bit. At his mansion that he bought with USC money. Like,
oh man, the one they bought for him. Oh man, that would be funny. But yeah, a 6-6 USC season would just be comedy gold for so many college football fans outside of Southern California. Like, man, that would just be for content for us. I would love that so much. That would be bliss. As would an Oregon win against Washington. That was my other game that I mentioned. This is kind of a sickos one, maybe. But Washington State at Arizona in week 12 is one that I'm really, really looking forward to, because Jaden DeLora against his former team. And I would bet money on Arizona this year to make a bowl game. Put that on Twitter. Put it on Twitter. I know we're not getting to our hot takes yet, but I think Arizona is going to be like the next Baylor. Not going to get to like a year 6 game, but like, to go from 0 to something. I think this is the year that Arizona is going to be, something again. Not a contender, but I think they're going to be good. And I think, a game against Washington State, for Jaden DeLora to have a revenge game against Washington State, man, I just that I love that with my sicko's heart.
That is sick. That's gross. You should be ashamed. I'm kidding. That'll be fun to watch. That'll be fun to watch. I mean, I love bad TV. I love bad movies. And sometimes it's like a guilty pleasure to watch two teams who suck. They have nothing to fight for a lot of the times. And that's it. It's great. I mean, sometimes you have to watch it at like 9 a.m. or like 11:30 at night, maybe. I don't know. But hey, TV, couch, whatever. It's fine. Go to a sports bar and make it a drinking game, like who fumbles the most, like each fumble, each interception, just take a shot, see what happens. If you're of age.
I mean, I'm 23, so it works for me. But I mean, who gets a stop? That would be a drinking game that would fail, because it's going to be like a 50-40 something. I swear, there's going to be no defense played in that game whatsoever.
I will write it out. I will do this. I'll send results.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, that's a very exciting game for me. I did write down Utah, Oregon, as well, but I figured you were going to say that. I didn't need to go in depth on that too much.
You know what?
It is what it is. But to jump into kind of the meat of the Pac-12 predictions, let's talk about our projected standings. I already went haywire and talked about Arizona, but we'll get into that for sure. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start from the bottom to the top. We're gonna give the little guys some love first. So let's start with the Pac-12 North. Who is your bottom team in the Pac-12 North?
Washington State.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I grew up calling all failures couging it. And I guess I can't get it out of my head. I just, I mean, it's a guess. It's an estimation. It's just, my years of watching Pac-12 football and, they might, even with a great quarterback, new offensive coordinator, I mean, they still might coug it. That's kind of what they do a lot. Not a lot, a fair amount. So with all the love in my heart, Washington State.
Wow, that's surprising. I think some fans are not going to be so pleased with that on the Twitter because there are actually a lot of people jumping on the Wazoo bandwagon. I've heard the Cougat thing as well coming from Washington and Oregon, living there my entire life. I have heard that before. I'm the complete opposite though. I'll get to Wazoo, but my last team is Cal. I have no faith in Cal whatsoever. I never usually do. They're so average to me. But I have them going 3-9 and 1-8 in the conference play. They have two returning offensive starters. Like I think that should be all you really need. New quarterback, new offensive line. I think the defense is still going to be good, but that's like usually all they are is good. They'll have some stellar guys individually, but like collectively it'll still be fairly new. I don't know. That offense is just going to be abysmal. And I'm not watching a single Cal game except for the Oregon game, which for some dumb reason, I'm sure that's going to be like a 2-score game going into the fourth quarter. But as it was last year, I don't even think it was a 2-score game. I think it was a 1-score game. God, that game was brutal. I hated that game.
Yeah.
But what do you have Wazoo going then? What's your record prediction if you have one?
I don't have a record prediction. I mean, I wouldn't, 3-9 is a bit harsh, but that's about it, like, yeah, I just, maybe 4-8, but still like pretty low.
Wow. Interesting. So I'm
I know.
curious who you have going right above them then at number 5 in the North.
Oh, Cal.
Oh, gotcha. Wow, that is a hot take. Cal over Wazoo in the standings. Man, that is interesting.
I don't know. Wilcox was possibly going to come to Eugene.
So
And
happy that didn't happen.
so, yes, part of me almost doesn't really believe the storyline that went out, where it's like he was offered it and turned it down. Part of me is like, you'd be crazy to turn that down. I'm again super biased, but if the Oregon Athletic Department sees a lot in him, then I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that I did not give Washington State.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, Cal, I think their defense is going to be the only thing that wins them games. I do like Justin Wilcox as the Cal head coach, but definitely not the Oregon head coach. Like, I know he was the alma mater, and they wanted somebody that was going to be, they knew the program, they knew the standards, they knew blah blah blah, all that stuff. But like Justin Wilcox, like he doesn't. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I'm not trying to offend any Cal fans. I'm just trying to make sure I don't brain fart. I don't think he is capable of leading a program like Oregon. Nevertheless, Cal. Like I don't even think that Cal is going to be bowl eligible anytime soon. That's probably what I'll say. Um, maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon because like they're not going to recruit anybody. The transfer portal might do them some good, but like how are you going to recruit, especially with you at UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten? Like they have no chance.
Hey, the Stanford reject school says hi.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll,
Mhm.
Yeah, well, we'll get to Stanford right now because that's my number 5 team in the Pac-12 North. I have them going 4-8, 3-6 in the Pac-12. I have no faith in David Shaw anymore, which is crazy because I absolutely love David Shaw, and they just fell off completely. Like last year was sad to watch. I watched a good amount of Stanford, and then I would end up leaving or like turning it off at like the third, fourth quarter because I was like, what am I doing? What is this? This is just awful. Tanner McKee was like the only reason to tune in to a Stanford game. And he's one of the best returning quarterbacks, not just in the Pac-12, but I think in college football. But there's not much around him that like excites me because their run game was, I'm not mistaken, the worst in the Pac-12, and they lost their 2 leading rushers. So it's like that's ugly just at the max. They're probably going to be rushing for like 34 yards a game. Like it's going to be brutal. The defense is going to be bad too, but Blue Kelly, he's going to be an absolute star, but he's going to be all alone because the rest of it is going to be bad. So Stanford, I think they'll win a couple like Pac-12 after dark games, maybe a couple like Thursday, Friday night games, just because that's the Pac-12. But I don't see them getting anywhere near bowl eligibility. And I will make another hot take about Stanford at the end of this video. Stanford fans, beware, you're probably not going to like it.
They don't like anything.
No, it's okay. I don't like Stanford anyway. I don't like them more than Washington, Oregon State, Washington State. I have so much deep down hatred for Stanford because of the last 10 years, 11 years. Like that they've cost me a good amount of mental health.
Yeah, that's how I felt at South Carolina with Kentucky. Like you're a
Uh,
basketball school, get out, you know? Oh gosh. Um, well again, you might not, you definitely won't, you probably won't agree with this. But my third from the bottom is Oregon State.
not against that.
Yeah, I mean, I it's difficult when little brother down the road, you want the best for him, but like also you don't, you know? Like love. I'm like, oh, so cute, so sweet, but also get out of the way, you know? Um, and again, you know, I don't have a lot of faith in them. I haven't in a while.
Yeah.
Um, so I have them and then Stanford because while I agree with you completely on David Shaw, I mean, it's it's kind of painful to watch. Um, I still, for some reason, think Stanford, but it's like it's very close. Like it's just a little bit above, but just barely. But yeah, Stanford over Oregon State due to a lack of talent and know-how. And honestly, I feel like it's really hard when you're playing constantly in someone else's shadow.
Yeah.
So dark. Oh my gosh. And they destroyed that part of their stadium. I mean, where's the crowd noise? Where are the decibels? Did they get over 100 each game? I don't know. I do know.
No, they probably didn't
Yeah.
even get over 60.
Oh God.
I mean, I remember seeing a tweet after the UCLA USC news came out, and then like the Oregon Washington news with them possibly leaving too. It was a video of them detonating Reser Stadium, and it was like they saw it coming. They sniffed it out. I'm like, well, they're not wrong, but
Welcome to the Mountain West.
yep, there we
But
go,
we
the
have a
Big
super
Sky.
happy time getting shit kicked by Boise State. It's
That's
fine.
hilarious. I I think Oregon State should go to the Big Sky. but that's just that's just the little brother talking me.
I know. I feel like we're being unfair. Too
We're being a
bad.
little unfair.
I do not care.
I was a little bit more generous with Oregon State. But my third from the bottom, fourth overall in the Pac-12 North, I had Washington at 5-7, going 3-6 in Pac-12 play. The offense is going to be really, really young. I think there's reason for excitement with that, but also reason for belief in disaster, because I don't know who their quarterback is going to be. It could be Michael Penix, who has been a shell of him for his former self since 2020. Dylan Morris, who, please don't get me started on Dylan Morris. And then Sam Heward has a lot of potential. I would give him another chance, but I don't think he's really shown anything where it's like, okay, this is the guy just yet. I think if I had to choose between the three, I'd probably go with him right now, but it's a really tough call. I think the defense is still going to be the strength, but it's still going to be a little less experienced because you lose Taki Tomani, who went to Oregon. You lose Trent McDuffie, and then you lose Kyler Gordon. They did really well in the transfer portal, but I don't know. I just think as a unit, it's not going to be in the top three in the conference. If I had to make a bet, I could be surprised. Washington defenses usually do really well, but I think offenses overall in the Pac-12 are getting better. I think they're going to have a tough time once again.
Yeah, I have to agree. That they will have a tough time. That's kind of all of our rankings are like just switched.
Yeah, a little bit.
Each of the two places are just as I said, I have Stanford, and then I have UW second in the Pac-12 North, obviously below Oregon by a considerable margin. Yeah, but I agree with what you said earlier. I think the Pac-12 North is definitely Oregon's to lose if we still cared about, North South because of the whole conference championship winning percentage thing. But I feel like while there's debate between the bottom, I don't think there's as much debate at the top. And I think that Oregon has a considerable lead, and just there's a lot of space in between first and second, and then not as much space between second and sixth.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have my third team was Oregon State. I think they'll probably sneak back into bowl contention, maybe get back to the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl, try to get their vengeance because they kind of got smoked last year and against Utah State. But I think losing BJ Baylor is really, really going to hurt. But Trey Lowe is a really good running back replacement. I think he'll do just fine. Chance Nolan is only going to get better. The defense kind of worries me, as it always does. I mean, Oregon State's defense was actually doing statistically better than it had been in like 10 years, and they still fired their defensive coordinator midseason. And then they lose like their linebackers, a little bit of defensive line depth. The secondary should be really fun with Jaden Grant coming back, but I really don't know about their defense. Like, I feel like it could really surprise, or it could be really, really bad. I just don't know. But I think the offense should take a step in the right direction. But I think they're going to be mediocre, 4-5 in conference play. My number 2 team, though, was your bottom team. I had Washington State finishing second in the Pac-12 North, going 8-4, actually. I think they're a bold team, and I think they're going to pull off some upsets with Cameron Ward, Eric Morris, Jake Dickert. I think there's reason for me to believe that Cameron Ward can be the quarterback that he was in the FCS, if not better. I think they've got some weapons that'll definitely help him. They lost a couple of guys. Losing Max Borghi is going to suck. But I definitely think that they are built to be a really fun offense. There's going to be some young talent that's going to be able to shine, and Cameron Ward is going to be. I don't think he's going to put up like as many yards as like a Luke Falk did, or like an Anthony Gordon even did. But I definitely think he's going to be more fun to watch those guys, and I think he's going to be a better NFL draft prospect. And then obviously Oregon is both of our number one. It might be a debate about record though. Would you take a shot at what you think their record's going to be?
Bovada is at about 8.5 for the over under. I would take the over by a mile, but I refuse to bet on my own team. I want to say like I want to say it's going to be like a 10-win season. I would like to say that. I'm not saying that, but I would like to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I'll say it for you. I had them at 10-2. I had them at 10-2, going 8-1 in Pac-12 play. Now, here's where I'm going to get canceled by the entire Oregon Ducks community.
Who is the one?
Oh, here's where I'm going to get canceled. Okay. Oregon every year has really good wins and head scratching losses. I think this is going to be the year where it's going to be the head scratchiest. I think, and I've called this out before, I think they're going to lose in Tucson to Arizona. I've called it for a while. I just have this gut, stupid feeling that they're going to fall short in Tucson, because I know that you know this, but Tucson and the state of Arizona as a whole is Oregon's absolute nightmare across most sports. Like, I don't have to say that, but football specifically in the last few years, they've had some heartbreaking losses there. I've already talked about my belief and my faith in this Arizona team. And just Oregon is still a new team. Like, I will say that it is still a new team. I expect them to be really good, but I just don't think that you can expect them to be the favorite in every game and win as the favorite in every game just yet, because there's a lot of new pieces. I think there are going to be growing pains this year, but I think starting maybe next year or even the end of this year, I think you're going to see the potential of this program. The offense of like the Chip Kelly days, I think it's going to peak through. It's going to be way better than last year. That's for damn sure. But I think it's not going to really take over the Pac-12 just yet. I think it's going to take some time with some new pieces, new starting quarterback, new offensive system. Granted, I mean, there are a lot of young receivers and the running backs who have experience with this this program. The offensive line is new. That's going to be a help. But I just think it's going to take some time. The defense, I think especially, is going to be an experiment. But it's probably not going to take as much time as I think personally, because of Dan Lanning and Tosh Lavoie and the job that they've done with the recruiting trail and, keeping some of the veterans back like Popo and Brandon Dorlus.
Yeah, no, Arizona, that's interesting. That's fun. I thought you were going to say like Stanford.
Well, I could see that too, but it is in Eugene that gives me faith. So.
Yeah, true. Ooh, Arizona. Ooh, I do not like that. That does not feel good.
I'm sorry. Cancel me now. I don't work for Ducks Digest anymore, so cancel me.
No cancellation happening here. I mean, if anyone's getting canceled, it's going to be me by Washington State fans. But you know what? It's happened before. It'll be fine. One of my friends from high school writes about the Cougars. So, she's gonna love this.
Well, let's move on to the South. I have a feeling that our bottom team, going into this, I thought it might be the same, but I don't know anymore. So who's your bottom team in the Pac-12 South?
Well, I thought you were going to agree with me up until about 30 seconds ago. It's Arizona.
I knew it.
It's Arizona.
Yeah.
The big A in the desert. I like Tucson. They have Dutch Brothers and Whataburger in the same place. So
Oh,
honestly,
really?
yeah, and In-N-Out actually. So you get like Oregon, Texas, and California. Just that's Arizona. That's Tucson for you.
Good to
Or
know.
Tucson if you can't read.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a very, very high risk, high reward for betting on Arizona. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bet money on Arizona. That's just my wild, crazy Pac-12 fandom sense. That's like, I have faith in Arizona. I don't know why I do, but I do. Who knows? I'm probably going to get absolutely roasted because I've made some just flat out dumb takes on these podcasts. Like I said, West Virginia was going to be in a New Year's Six bowl last year. This is going to be my New Year's Six West Virginia take. Like it's probably going to be worse if I had to guess.
Oh, honey. Mm. No.
Yeah,
Ugh.
but this is a take that I don't think I have to probably justify. I have Colorado at the bottom, and I have them going 0-12. I don't think Colorado has a chance at winning a game this year. Like
Not
they
even a
were really
single.
not a single game. I think they were really bad last year and they got really worse this offseason. I really, really do.
How do you
They're,
get worse when you don't play?
I don't know. It's going to be so bad. Like I'd rather watch a UConn and New Mexico State game than literally any Colorado game. I
Go
swear to you.
Lobos.
Their their offense was the worst in the Power Five, and it got monumentally worse. Like they lost Jared Broussard, who was at one point the offensive player of the year in the Pac-12. Of course, it was a shortened season, but he won it for a reason. And he transferred. Brendan Rice transferred to USC. They lose a lot of parts on the defense as well. Their defense actually looked like it was going to help them win games last year, and then it just didn't. Um, and then they changed offensive line coaches midseason last year too, and it only got better against Oregon, which I don't understand at all. Their offensive line was actually decent against Oregon. They shut down Kayvon. It made no sense. But anyway, I mean, Colorado, I have less than zero faith in Colorado doing anything this year. Sorry to all 9 Colorado fans, but I have no faith in your team.
I I'm with you. I'm with you. I had them right above Arizona.
Okay.
I mean, you could end up being right about Arizona. I have my doubts, as I've said. Colorado, oh God. I mean, I went to a Colorado game one time. I went to see Oregon at Colorado. The entire game was on a lightning delay, and I had to cram like a sardine into their giant field house next to the stadium to wait out lightning. And after that, I just feel like they've never really been the same. I mean, obviously that's very very personal. But I operate primarily on gut feeling, and I can show you my sports betting stats when I do indulge. And I know some people like to go off statistical models, which is also a very valid approach. But unfortunately, I am one of those like old codgers who's just a gut feeling kind of person, like a detective when they're like, I have a hunch, I'm one of those assholes. So um but I wish them nothing but the best. I hope they find peace someday. Um something that I tell exes as well. I hope you find peace someday. I really hope you do. But that's kind of how I feel. So Colorado, I'm rooting for you. Not actually, but like in spirit, behind the scenes, when I'm not rooting for Oregon and South Carolina, I'm rooting for you. I stay golden.
That took a turn. Uh, I mean, I will say there's one game I think they might have a slight chance at winning, and that's at home against Cal, because I talked about Cal. I have no faith in them either. but like I am a sicko, but I'm not going to watch Cal versus Colorado. To hell with that. I'm not watching that. I'd rather
Really?
watch. I would not watch
Right.
that. No, I don't think I would. I wouldn't subject myself to that pain and torture. But my number 5 team in the South is Arizona State. They just absolutely catapulted off a cliff this offseason. Like the whole scandal thing just ruined that program for the foreseeable future. And Herm Edwards is still there. I don't understand why. Like I think he's a good coach, but like this is on him, I think, more than anybody else. And he's still there. He survived the just anarchy that happened in that program. Like Jaden Daniels transferred, Jermaine Lowell transferred, Ricky Pearsall, Demonte Trainum, like it's just scraps. And Emory Jones is no better than Jaden Daniels at quarterback. I'm going 4-8, and I think that's being generous, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, no one wants to be the captain of the ship that is sinking, but Herm Edwards' dedication to staying in that position and Arizona State's keeping him. Is he a really nice guy? I've never met him. I know it's
He,
harder to fire nice guys.
he plays to win the game. That much I know.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, yeah, I have Arizona State above Colorado. Yeah, I don't have I have zero. I have very little faith in them. Honestly, maybe I should switch it, you know? No, I'm not gonna switch it. But no takebacks. Yeah, I hmm. I I'm I'm proud of how they've made it through such a difficult time. It's
Have they made it through?
it must be really difficult. Well, you know, we have to wait till they get on the field because I enjoy talking shit. I talk a lot of shit, but at the same time, I might eat my words. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be nice. But yeah, and then yeah, so Arizona State, it's like right above Colorado. But again, Arizona State, Colorado, they're just bottom buddies.
Yeah, I think there's actually like more separation with the top of the Pac-12 South than there is the Pac-12 North. Like the top of it versus the bottom of it in each division. Because I had Colorado 0-12, which that's they're scraping for wins. Arizona State had 4-8. Arizona I have 6-6 in fourth place. I have them making it to a bowl game. I think the defense is going to be tough, but not in a good way. But I think the offense should be able to outscore some people. And then the top 3, in order from top to bottom, I have USC at 11-1. I'm actually buying in on USC a little bit than I thought, more than I thought, because I looked at their schedule, kind of thought about it. I'm like, maybe there's something here. Utah, I have number 2 at 10-2. And 3, I have UCLA 9-3. So I'm curious what your top 3 looks like in the South.
It is not that. I I am not bought in on USC, nor will I ever be. But I have Utah, USC, UCLA.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So then,
I'm still on I mean, I'm not on the Utah train because, bye. But
yeah.
they're very good objectively. So yeah, Utah, USC, UCLA, Chip Kelly, have fun.
Yeah, I mean, so now with the conference championship game matchup, and I actually had a North versus South prediction first, and then I was like, oh, that's not how it works anymore. But like the matchup is still gonna be North versus South for me. I have USC versus Oregon, and I have USC prevailing. That's my prediction. I'm not gonna predict scores because I always, I shit the bed whenever I try to predict scores, but that's my prediction. And then I think Oregon's run of dominating even more in the Pac-12 starts next season. I think this is kind of an experiment year for Oregon, which I think most programs would wish that they had an experiment year that's still 10-2 and going to the conference championship game. So, what is your conference championship prediction?
I have also North versus South, but they're not it's not North versus South in my head. I have Oregon versus Utah again. And I have Oregon winning because I want revenge.
Fair.
Yeah.
Gosh, I hope so.
It would be nice. I mean, also it'd be really cool if like Oregon beat Utah twice this season.
Oh man, that would be
Like,
awesome.
that's kind
I
of
didn't even think about that.
that's what I dream about. Not all the just a little bit of the time.
That's
But I'd
funny.
like it. I'd like it.
Me too. I very much would, but I have a hard time seeing it, unfortunately. But my predictions have been a little more out there than I thought. So, and speaking of which, this is how we're gonna wrap this up. And I think it's gonna be fun. We've already kind of got into our hot takes a little bit, at least I have. But here's what I'd like to do. Um, I want the most roastable hot takes possible. So what we're gonna do is I want you to say the statement of your hot take and leave it at that. I've already kind of dove into mine, so maybe I cheated myself a little bit. But if you have any hot takes, let's put them on the bulletin board and leave it there. No explanation. Let's just let people roast. That's I think what what the Pac-12 fans and culture would want. So I already started with mine. I say Arizona. I actually think they go winless in a non-conference play. I think they start 0-3, and then they win their first 4 in conference, including over Oregon. And I think they finish bowl bound. So that's my first one.
Mine is more specific. I am not sold on Bo Nix.
Wow. Period.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
letting it hang there. My fellow Oregon fans can roast me. It's totally fine. I accept it. I just I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I was at the spring game. I'm
Ah,
not there yet.
got you. Well, I'm gonna go with your Pac-12 runner-up on a hot take here. I think Utah starts 7-0. And then in all Pac-12 after dark fashion, I have them losing in Pullman for their first loss in week 8.
Okay.
We out here now.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I mean, I would maybe be a little mad if like Washington State beat them and Oregon didn't. But no, I mean, I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. I think UCLA has a shot at a 10-win season. And I think UCLA may be the better LA team.
Wow. Boom. Yeah. I was looking at the schedules, and UCLA, they could make a run this year. If this is the year, they might do it. But the defense scares me. That's all I'll say. So I had a little prelude to this during our Stanford section, and so let me drop the bomb. David Shaw will get fired at the end of the season. I think this has got to be it. I don't see a way that they turn it around this year. This is it.
Okay. I might even venture to say that might not even be like a hot take. That might be like a lukewarm take. That might be like
Probably true.
It's overdue. Like the pot has boiled over. It is just like it's just evaporated, like as Lizzo would say, it's about damn time.
There are Stanford fans that like think that man is untouchable. So, which I don't know why they think that. They're smoking crack.
Nobody in college football is untouchable.
This be true.
No one. And then I had Arizona State above Colorado and Arizona, partially because while they might be an absolute hot mess, thank you, Herm Edwards, Emory Jones has 4 years of being a quarterback under his belt, and their schedule is not that hard.
What? But so did Bo Nix, or not Bo Nix, Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown also had a bunch of years, and that didn't help.
Again, it's a hot take.
I know. I'm just.
And I am begging to be wrong.
Me too, actually. I almost wrote an absolute hellacious article after Jaden Daniels transferred about like, I almost titled it Arizona State is a shit show, but I was like, I probably shouldn't. And then I just decided not to do it overall because I probably got busy or something. I don't know, but I regret not writing that. I probably still can.
I mean, shit show, dumpster fire, very hot mess,
Hell on earth, literally and figuratively.
a black hole and a void that had a baby.
I'm gonna steal that.
Like if the Tasmanian devil mated with like a cassowary and then that like died.
Oh man.
There you go.
Goodness. Alrighty, shall we leave it there?
Yeah, might as well. I invite you to roast me. Go ahead, have fun. Sorry,
Right.
Cougars.
Well, the takes are on the table. So, I mean, you had to knew it was going to be chaos. It's Pac-12. It's the most fun, whether it be, for one reason or another, it's the most fun conference in college football. I would argue over MAC. You MAC heads, get over it. Pac-12 is more entertaining. But thank you, everybody. So that might be another hot take to put on the board. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in and for watching. Make sure to like, comment all our, all your roasts. Just make sure that, you don't go after our character. We're good people, I promise. But our takes are out there. We can fully admit that. But thank you, everybody, so much. Make sure to tune into all the other conference previews like this one. We'll have each one for the Power Five and for the Group of Five. So we're going to have you absolutely covered. If we didn't talk about your team ad nauseum, it's probably because they're not worth it. So I'm sorry, not sorry. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.